What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with another fantasy football video. Today, I am talking about some values that I currently see in round 3/4. These are some guys I think are worthy of a little bit higher draft position than they are currently going. Gives you some value to jump on it in those middle rounds of your draft, secure those third and fourth options on your team, and make them elite players. Differentiate yourself from your league mates. If you guys want to win your fantasy football championship, hit that subscribe button. Post a ton of good content you guys are going to want to check out. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in the comment section down below. Okay, let's start out the video. First off, the first player I wanted to talk about, Jaylen Waddle, currently going 32 overall, wide receiver 17. Now, the reason this is this last year he had a bunch of injuries and was playing in games, but leaving in the middle of them, missing a lot of snaps, not his self, and that shows itself out in the numbers. If you look at this, 1,356 yards last year, 18.1 yards per reception. That comes down drastically. He was way less explosive. The targets weren't all that dissimilar. I expect him to bounce back in a major way. Missed a few contests as well. I think he's going to be back to his old ways. He was a wide receiver one this year, and I believe the year before that he was pretty close to wide receiver one as a rookie with how many passes he caught. He's a great player, extremely explosive, and in this offense, I expect him to be a great player. And yeah, I see him going in round three of a lot of drafts. I'm very comfortable pulling the trigger on him there. Another guy, this guy I'll just briefly talk about, basically an honorable mention. Travis Kelce, though, I see him going. But Travis Kelce is a guy looking at points per game last year, tied for number one at the position. Missed a few games with injury for the first time in a long time, but still number one at tight end in the league as far as points per game goes. And you're getting a drastic discount on him this year compared to drafting him in round one a year ago. Might not be that same player, but still a great option you can plug into that tight end spot. I think the touchdowns are going to bounce back for him in a major way. I believe he had like 5 last year. Maybe he had a little more than that. Let's find out. But with all the him being the number one option on that offense, I still believe he could easily catch 8, 11 touchdowns and give you really good value. And I think people think he's dropped off a little bit more than he has. Moving on, another guy that really sticks out to me in this draft range, DK Metcalf. Let's take a look at the stats. This last year, he finished as a wide receiver 16, and he's getting drafted much lower than that. And as you can see, the stats were not bad this last year. And then you look at 2 years ago, 90 receptions. Geno Smith was not nearly the player we thought he was going to be this last year. I expected him to be a little bit better. Maybe he's not, that version from 2 years ago, but I don't think DK needs that. I expect him to be the wide receiver one in this team and JSN to contribute. But Tyler Lockett's not the player he used to be. DK Metcalf's going to get a ton of targets, a ton of red zone targets, and I expect him to return on where he's going. Like I said, so he's a wide receiver 20. Last year finished the wide receiver 16. You're getting a value on that, and before then he's finished much higher in his previous seasons as well. Another guy I want to talk about, Devonta Smith. He goes in round 4/5 even. I've seen him go before, but this last year, he was finished as a wide receiver 20. He's getting drafted a wide receiver 23. If you look at his seasons too, he obviously didn't get as many targets, lost about 20 targets. But I expect this next year him to be about 120 target pace. I think he can have a pretty similar year to what he had a year ago. Be close to 90 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns potentially. That could easily be a wide receiver one like he was 2 years ago. And when you're drafting him, I'm just very comfortable with him being my wide receiver 22, drafting him with that wide receiver 23 value. Another guy, James Cook, I just think where this team is headed, he's going to be very much a focal point of it in the passing game as well as the rushing game. 237 attempts this last year, only 2 rushing touchdowns. I think that number is going to go up. Even if he's not the guy on the goal line, I still think he's an explosive enough player. He could have 6 touchdowns on his own through the rushing game and then, get snagged 3 or 4 through the air because of how explosive he is, continue to catch a lot of passes, get a lot of work, and be an explosive playmaker. And just being able to pull the trigger on a guy like that in round 4 who finished last year as a running back 1, finishing as RB11, is a really good value to me. And just a guy I think is extremely talented and coming into his own in this league. And like I said, the way they utilize him once Joe Brady became the offensive coordinator. I think that's the future. And you look at the pass catching options on that roster, really not many great options. They took, obviously, Keon Coleman. He's a raw player. They've got Curtis Samuel, but all that just means that James Cook's going to continue to be a massive part of this offense in the passing game and on the ground. So I think he's a great value where he's currently going in drafts. Alright, that's all for this video, going over my 3/4 values. We got Travis Kelce, Jaylen Waddle, DK Metcalf, James Cook, and Devonta Smith. All those guys I think are being drafted fairly close to their floors, and you can get a lot of value where they will end up finishing in 2024. Alrighty, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.